Eastern Clash, and she's been played 5 times now, has 3 wins, 2 losses, and very rarely makes it through the draft. Like, the majority of involvement results in her being banned out immediately on the first ban.
Yeah, I was making a joke earlier that, like, Maiev was going to be a myth in this tournament. Like, is Maiev really available for Eastern Clash? Like, I saw that it was, like, you know, in the official rules for the tournament that she was available, but I couldn't believe it because we haven't seen her. But starting to happen. A new Brock again. Okay, this feels familiar. Is it going to be Tyrael ban into allowing Maiev through?
Okay,
so nope, not gonna happen.
Nope. So first of all, this is the 3rd time in the tournament that we see Infernal Shrines played. We have, by the way, Towers with 5 times played being the most popular map at the tournament, whereas Braxis hasn't been played a single time.
Rip Braxis.
But I want to highlight the Anuburak ban for a moment again. We already talked briefly about it in the last draft. I really like it because Tempest is, first of all, so strong on Anuburak in this tournament. They have a 100% win ratio with 3 games played on him. And it also is not only a ban against the hero, it's a ban against the playstyle. Yep. Since Anuburak has really no equal on that front line with Cocoon and the plays that he allows you to make with his aggression. So I absolutely love that SPT just tries and shut that particular playstyle down that Tempest loves to use.
Tempest has only played 1 game of Tracer this tournament as well, and that was you know, early on against LM. This is a comp that this is a draft where you expect with the Malfurion and Tyrael available that they'll go down that path. And they kind of give the Malfurion away because they're saying, okay, I know you prefer this hero, but you're not really running the Tracer, so it's probably going to be a more passive comp, so they're not worried about the Tracer. Against another team, you'd be seriously worried about the Tracer here, against Blossom, against KSV. But now you know you're likely to get the Uther because you've got Genji on your side that can't use the Uther. You've banned Anuburak, who's one of the best tools at shutting down Uther in teamfights when you're trying to run the Dragon Blade Divine Shield comp. So this is also thinking another level ahead about what they wanted to bring to the draft as their main kind of carry hero in this Genji. So the decision-making here for SPT, again, is brilliant.
Also, when we talk about tournament meta, this is the exact opening that Tempest had in the last game for the draft. They started with Genji, and then they went for Uther Malthael. So the same thought process here once again. You have the Divine Shield ready for Genji, for Malthael. And on Infernal Shrines, arguably, Malthael shines even more towards that late game just because of how focused the objective is on a single location on the map.
SPT adapting, taking the same type of heroes that we had Tempest picked up on the last draft there on Dragonshire, so we'll see how that pays off for them. Being able to get the poke would be pretty annoying. In terms of bans, you were talking about Tracer a little bit earlier here. Do you think SPT takes the Tracer away?
I don't think so. I just don't feel like it's warranted given that Tempest has only played it once this tournament. They didn't show it very much in the past in HGC Korea because their Tracer player is actually Sign, who's been very required on these main tanks for the majority of the games. Could be a game where, because it's Tyrael, it could be flexed over to good, that Tracer could make it through this draft, and Tracer Tyrael's been a thing in Korea before. I just don't think it suits Tempest. Either way, I suppose it's a safe ban. If you kind of remove the team name from the top, it would still be strong for the composition. So instead of trying to play for the team, they're going to play for the meta and ban the Tracer away.
I feel one of the reasons is also it's a bit of a better safe than sorry ban that you have here. You're absolutely right. They played only 1 game with Tracer this tournament and they won it. But then again, if you look at the series against KSV Black, KSV chose Tracer very early in most of their drafts against them and prioritized it simply higher. So it could all... SBT finds themselves probably in the spot where they are thinking, okay, they have shown her only once, but in most of the games they simply didn't prioritize her as high as the opponent, and Tracer was involved in nearly every single draft there, so they don't quite know. And I feel it from their point of view, definitely a ban that makes sense.
Yeah, I like how you put it, better safe than sorry, absolutely. So, we're going to see Jaina. So Jaina Zeratul, it's been a long time since we've seen that Void Prison Ring of Frost
Oh my
combo.
gosh, yeah, that's an oldie wombo combo there.
Hey, you know, they could just pick, go ahead and grab Leoric at the end, and you've got a lot of fun. Diablo?
Coming in there.
God, all right.
And you get control over Genji?
I mean, you're laughing, but it would actually really fit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm being serious. I just giggled at everything. You know that, Caldor.
To be honest, the one thing that I'm afraid of is Uther. Divine Shield can screw up so much here. So Tempest has, if they want to use the wombo, if they want to go Void Ring and blow someone apart, use Malfurion here as well, a bit of extra damage then would have Tempest side probably do well for them. But A good Divine Shield, depending on who they hit, could ruin a lot here, especially since Genji himself with his mobility could still be able to escape if the combo doesn't hit absolutely perfectly. So Uther is definitely the one hero to watch out for in this setup.
And also, what about a Blaze getting picked up? We haven't seen the last couple of pickups, but Blaze here would stop this from Tempest.
I mean, it would be tough to use Blaze as a tank in this setup, but it's certainly possible. They're going to take Diablo for themselves, and they'll have Greymane, who also synergizes very well with Uther for this comp. The cool thing about Jaina versus Greymane and Malthael is as long as she's positioned correctly and she has the extra shields from Tyrael, you can slow down their advances with the chill. You can kind of blow them up before they can get into range. For Tempest now, the question becomes, what sort of draft is this going to be? Because most Zeratul comps have actually been with another dive hero. Tracer's not available. Genji is taken away from them. So I think this is probably just going to be Tychus. Yeah, it's going to be a safe burner, kind of slow DPS that can help Jaina secure those kills, burn the front line down, then Jaina finishes them off.
I mean, if you go for Tychus, Tempest's front line is not going to be as beefy as they would probably want it to be, but then again, you have great arguments for Tychus here. You can burn down Diablo pretty easily and force him back all the time, and you also can rely on Odin to secure yourself the objective if you're already taking the lead. So I feel Tychus was really the brain order.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's just as the cherry on top of the draft. You know, it's not an insanely strong hero pick. It's not like the craziest combo or synergy you could ever have. It's also not a mind blower. It's just the, okay, this makes sense. It's the last piece of the puzzle.
It gives you a response to what's available for SPT, because SPT, if that Tychus didn't come in, I would say they have way better control over the Shrine. Diablo in that front line, Greymane for the clear, but Tychus now gives them that chance, especially post-10, to be able to contest.
What's really interesting, we get to see good on Zeratul. It's been a long time since he's played the hero. Last time he played it was on Mighty, his previous team. At the beginning of Heroes of the Storm history, when Zeratul was considered one of the strongest heroes in the game, there were three popular Zeratul players in Korea. It was Good, Rich, and Tist, who's now, of course, the tank player on KSV Black. Honorable mention would be Reset as well, but he was known to be basically one of the top 3 Zeratuls in Korea, famous for his Zeratul. Before people knew heroes like, or players like Jungha, before Rich got famous in the international scene. So I expect a lot of things from this Zeratul, and I'm excited to see if he delivers, because it's a risky draft, but it's one of the best Zeratuls in Korea.
The interesting thing about Zeratul in this tournament is also that he has been extremely successful. We have seen Zeratul 4 times, and 3 out of those 4 times Zeratul won the game. The only time that Zeratul lost was in the series between Blossom and Ballistics, when Blossom picked Zeratul. That was the only Zeratul game so far where he didn't win it. So Zeratul, when he shows up, has a massive, massive impact. Of course, also including the last series, the last map in where we had another Zeratul, but before the series, we had a pretty impressive track record for Zeratul players.
Good is very well known for using Rewind back when Zeratul had that, in 20. It was a long time ago when Zeratul was first released. I'm talking like right outside of Tech Alpha. And it's a very quick Zeratul player, very aggressive, but the meta has changed since then. Zeratul has been reworked several times. And he's going to play a very passive Zeratul in this early game for the time being, just up in the top lane, not looking for picks against this comp that could punish him with the CCs of Diablo and Uther. And speaking of which...
talking Diablo already, going straight for Jaina. That's the killer. We have SPT able to take the first blood again. And that brings me to something that I wanted to talk about, and that's Diablo. Misaka has absolutely destroyed opponents on Diablo in this tournament, so I'm really looking forward to his performance here on the hero again. He already sniffed out Jaina and made sure that they set the kill up for Genji, and I really want to see how much of an impact he has in this game, especially, of course, with Tempest trying to counter him with Tychus and attempting to burn him down in these fights. So my eyes are definitely on Misaka for this.
What's really cool about SPT capitalizing on this kill is they were able to grab the Siege Giant camp, or not the Siege Giant, but the Impaler camp. Now they're going to go for an invade. Unfortunately, not able to stop the capture, but this should be another pick at worst case. Hyde gets very low. Looks like Misaka used the charge, but is unable to hit Hyde. Still going to try to look for a pick on this Dom. He does get Dami Sign. Very low. Soap does finally get taken out as Good rotates in, but this feels like a huge win for SPT.
Yeah, Sign is here also falling. Misaka is dying, but we might have the counter kill against Good. Not quite, and Molly actually is also down, so that means the Tempest trades up in this case. Really well done by them. But I agree with you, there were a lot of moments where SPT could have gotten away with a quicker kill in the fight that should have resulted with them winning it quite handily.
I think they missed the. I think Misaka misclicked the charge.
Yeah.
He was definitely looking for the pick on the Malfurion, and maybe it was just barely out of his range, so he got the next best target. But that was what they were looking for, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. Feels like I'm watching HGC China with how many kills we're seeing in these games. By the way, very aggressive early game.
Definitely, but we saw in this fight that Hikers, for example, survived for the longest time. That Malfurion was able to get out there, and oftentimes it was just that they focused onto another target because they thought, okay, this hero is dead already, and it just wasn't the case.
Yeah.
So they played it a little bit too loose here. But Misaka, again, having the impact on Diablo. He's played the hero 2 times already. He won both of the games where he played Diablo, so we're going to find out if he can make that a triple. But so far, Tempest has now started at the top to get a lead in the minion on the shrines, but here comes again SPT, and Misaka is going to be the one that has to lead the charge.
Also, Zeratul spots out Melody C here. It's going to be a fight between the Genji and the Zeratul. There's the heal. Melody C wins the trade, and SPT is going to be able to take an advantage of positioning at the moment. Can they collapse in and grab Dami? That's the question. Not quite. Really good positioning here for Lockdown, always staying so far away from the rest of the members of SPT.
And Malfurion, in the meantime, has taken the extra wave, so that is experience lost to Tempest on lane. They are still on even levels or even experience, but that's a nice little move for SPT to close the gap that existed beforehand. Misaka now with a position here is going to look for those stuns. He's going to look for the engage, ideally against Jaina if he can, but Tempest is eager to make sure that they get that Punisher. The problem is SPT has already closed the amount of minions that they needed here.
Tempest is trying to walk some of these defenders towards them so they can finish them off with Dami's machine gun. Here comes Misaka, great angle to join his teammates, but he gets rooted. So no protection here to come out. They don't have Divine Shield just yet, and SPT looks like they're just going to simply have to give this shrine up. It will be the first Punisher. It's an Arcane Punisher, by the way, going over to Tempest.
I also didn't really like how Misaka played this, because first of all, the engage from him, I loved it. Just he was shocking around the entire fight, trying to get the perfect angle, and it worked out really well when he went for Tigers. The problem is, he went straight for the flip afterwards, and that flip put Tigers into a very, very comfortable position where he could simply walk out. Now he's making up for that mistake.
Yeah, he gets a kill on Sign at least.
So that worked out for him, but I feel they could have maybe gotten the kill on Tigers if he played that correctly early on.
This looks bad though. Molly gets very low. Melody C just barely escaped Zeratul's grasp. Nice dodge by Molly. Cool grenade attempt, but they're going to go over the wall here from Misaka. Good is going to jump away. And because this is an Arcane Punisher, this does way more than you would have expected, plus the fact that they were able to dive so deep with this, get those picks, they get a fort, they get several kills, and Tempest runs away with this game now. Misaka's had some great moments, as you say, but I feel like overall, he's played a little bit too greedy with his positioning. I like how he tries to get back to his teammates by charging into someone who's kind of in the middle, but at the same time, that shouldn't be necessary. It's kind of an emergency tactic he's been using. He has gotten a few grabs here and there that have turned fights for him or gotten picks, but in general, he's playing as if Diablo is a lot tankier than he is at this point. Hasn't completed his souls just yet. And he needs to be a little bit more patient, I'd say.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments when it was extremely close, though, where they could have gotten the kill and just barely missed out. Tempest definitely also playing it very much on the edge here, with the Zeratul jumping oftentimes in, trying to get that extra kill. But SPT is changing nothing. They're trying to be the aggressor here. They've been doing well so far in the tournament with that style, and they're using it against Tempest. Tempest is now on level 9.5 nearly, so they're moving away in experience, and they of course want to ideally get 10 and then use that to again get a lead when it comes to the objective.
And while SPT was looking for that 5-man rotation mid to get picks, to get kills, to maybe try to turn the tide and catch up on 10, Tempest had good in the bot lane, they had Dami in the top lane, so they were soaking experience, so much so they're at 10 pretty much right now. It's the last chance SPT is going to have to fight without heroics on the other side. They end up grabbing the camp. Small victory, though, as 10 is now complete for Tempest. I think they need to be careful about roaming too much as 5, because the experience gap here really shows, and it's not just because of the Punisher. In fact, the top 4 still barely alive.
Water Elemental has, by the way, been chosen for Tempest, and we have seen that a lot in North America, that they go for Water Elemental over Ring of Frost. I got to admit, with Void Prison, I was 100% sure this was a Ring of Frost game, just to make that wombo combo happen, but they can still, of course, use it together with Odin as a setup to reduce the wind down time. We usually don't have a lot with Twilight Dream as well, and of course then later on also with Holy Ground. But it's a little bit surprising.
It's so powerful against every hero on SPT except Genji, every hero that doesn't have a dash or an escape, because you're simply going to slow the retreats, you're going to slow the advances, and someone like Uther or Greymane is just going to have no way out. Well, a huge dive here onto Soap. ZZH just gets dismounted and casually has to walk away. Shrine control goes to Tempest, but SPT, the one thing they have going for them is they were able to force their way into 10 right before the objective came up. So this is going to be, quote-unquote, a fair fight going into the second shrine.
I feel a lot when it comes down to the heroic choice on Jaina's side also comes down to Uther being available for SPT, that with the Divine Shield, as we highlighted in
Plus
draft,
cleanse, yeah.
you could theoretically just destroy the combo, make sure that the damage doesn't come through and that there is no CC on the target. Genji is still waiting with his heroic, and Divine Shield, we could have still, we have seen some X strikes at the Western Clash, but I feel in this situation... That's one way to put it. There were good arguments for it, but with the comp that they're running here, especially with Uther, it makes a lot of sense to go into the Dragon Blade. And this is now the fight that we've been waiting for. This is really the opportunity that SPT has to maybe put Diablo into that position where he can be the game changer and create the opportunity to attack the backline.
Really interesting. Water Elemental's just being used for Shrine control, just adding some extra damage to these defenders. Now kind of going into the backline, is being micro a little bit, but here comes the APOG. Cleanse comes through, Dami pops the Odin. The Water Elemental doing virtually nothing in this fight. There's the Void, the follow-up Blizzard, and the Sank. Not going to be a fight that SPT can take lightly. Shields are too much for them. They can't break through. There's the silence.
Nice kill against Malfurion, but it's just not enough at this point. They're trying to go for Malthael, and they get the double kill. Well played here. And fantastic Void Prison that we saw out from Zeratul. The moment that Misaka starts to make his play, drops the Apocalypse, and goes full in on Odin, not only did we see the cleanse to make sure that Tychus can move out, that Dami is safe, but also Zeratul popping the Void Prison in the backline, hitting 3 and just negating all the threat potential that we had on the engage for the SPT.
Yeah, it was really well played. I liked how they didn't really try to force a wombo combo, but they just used their tools kind of sparingly, didn't stack them on top of each other, but actually kind of staggered them. So we saw right after the Void expired, the Blizzard came in, then the Silence, the Twilight Dream coming out, the Sanctification used just before that. So SPT, every single time they tried to engage, they just struggled. Yet again, Lockdown sends the Water Element out, using it as kind of a ward here in this brush. Is now going to try to punish Melody C from moving forward. You know, it makes me wonder if Ring of Frost might have been more valuable here. It's done a little bit for them, helping control zones and things like that, but he's using it very liberally, shall we say.
I mean, at this point, Tempest is controlling this extremely well. I'm blown away by how good this Void Prison was that we saw in the fight. Just absolutely making sure that SPT can't do anything with that combo. Holy Ground now being played, and keep in mind, Diablo just died. He doesn't have any souls, and we can see that immediately he doesn't have the hit point pool to sustain himself through these fights, and he's dead within an instant.
Okay, Soap is going to try to make this fight happen here, but unfortunately, Sank just comes off cool, and there's the silence again. And SPT is diving into these zones where Tempest will get the Sank value, they'll get the Void Prison value, they'll get Blizzard value, they'll get the Silence, the Twilight Dream. SPT needs to split better. Misaka started this fight off wrong. As you said, no souls, gets caught. ZZH isn't in range to cleanse him. He cleanses him eventually, but it's too late. He dies. And SPT cannot Death Ball glob up like this, or Tempest is going to smash them with their AoE abilities every time.
Into a 4 versus 5 with a talent disadvantage.
Why did he go in there?
It's kind of insane. After Diablo is down, there's absolutely no reason that you're trying to engage into that team fight. You're not going to come out ahead of it. Yeah.
Sank's up. Sank is, you know, this is one example of why in Korea you almost never see Malthael picked into Ethereal, because when you're trying to make that kind of fight happen, in this case, of course, it was kind of suicidal because they were down a man anyway, but even in a 5v5 scenario, you could see how Sanctification allows counterplay so easily. You've got that on top of Void, the Twilight Dream, and SPT needs to make sure they take these fights a little bit more carefully. It's been pretty careless so far. Misaka, again, very far forward. There comes the APOC.
Yeah, and that was not the call he wants to use, so very well done to try and escape here. They have 13 now. The problem is Tempest has 16, and they are attempting to use it. Void and the Root immediately as the follow-up, and that results in a dead Diablo once more. Molly also in trouble, and he gets taken out by Zeratul and Tychus. Great kills here for Tempest, who at this point are looking at 15 kills, 2-5, and a 3-level lead with a talent advantage.
Two factors here, I feel, are Misaka's careless advance, is forgetting about Holy Ground, And in going to these choke points, and also the capitalization of said Holy Ground by Sign, every time Misaka goes into these choke points where he thinks he's safe, where he thinks there's no vision, down comes the sword, Aldruins comes in, he's caught behind the Holy Ground, can't get out, ZZH has to use Cleanse too early in the fight, then everything else comes to follow. Misaka has died too early in these fights too many times. He hasn't built souls because it's been alive long enough to get them.
As I said before, my eyes are on Misaka for this game, and so far he's just not delivering on the same level that he did in previous games. At this point, it feels every single time the cooldown is ready, he's let's go boys, and moves in. And that's just not how you can play this, not against what Tempest is running here.
I love, by the way, Lockdown taking this camp by himself, just using the water elemental in the bush so you can see them coming and slowing it down. He steals this camp, zones SPT out. In fact, the third Impaler even survives. Tempest is going to get yet another Punisher here. This one's going to be the frozen one. Not going to be necessarily a keep Punisher because it is an arcane. Fort's down, SPT again struggling down a talent tier, down 3 levels of scaling. And Misaka doesn't have very many souls. He's not going to instantly respawn here. He doesn't have the health pool he's looking for. You can even tell by looking at the bars there. He's just been dead for too long.
I think this is going to be keeping it could possibly be game. If SPT once again suicides into Tempest and doesn't play this extremely carefully,
well, Misaka
that could be it. Here's the bait into the middle. I like that a lot. Okay, the cleanse helped him to pull that off, but the keep is already under attack as they are trying to burn the Punisher down. But we are seeing Tempest annihilating that keep, and now the Punisher is with them. Odin is being popped, and they're going to try and end the game here.
No cleanse for Misaka this time. Down comes the Holy Ground. Dragon Blade coming through from Melody C. Divine Shield used as well, but Sang is just going to ruin everything. Jaina goes down, but she's done so much damage already. Good. Looking for that pick onto Melody C.
Yeah, there's the kill against Diablo again. Good with the Void Prison. They take Genji down. He's eliminated. There's the triple as we have Greymane dying. Zeratul also with the dust here. But we still have an opportunity to maybe not end the game, but at least do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think they can get it maybe down halfway or so. They don't have Sank anymore.
I mean, can they? Maybe if they get Sophia as well, and it seems like they do.
Minions are coming out. Soap, of course, does not have 20 just yet. He's trying to buy time. Good splits here by Tempest. They want to end this. 10 seconds, though, until Misaka comes up. This is going to be a close one.
Yeah, 8 more seconds until Genji is back. I'm not quite sure they can end this.
Yeah,
Hyde is about
doesn't
to fall.
have Ice Block. He doesn't have Ice Block. He's trying to make this work. Shield's coming through. Here comes Misaka, though.
They need
here
to go
comes
for
Genji.
Icarus, and they get him. There it is.
This is going to be a survival here.
But again, the explosion of Tyrael is taking another 5-6%
go maybe like to
off.
21? 20, okay. This is not the end of the world because not everyone's up for SPT. They have to clear some of these catapults, but now Tempest...
I call worth.
Yeah, it's worth. Like, because now Tempest, when they respawn, when the next shrine comes up, they can threaten the back door, they can threaten the core. They have members alive. They didn't get completely wiped, so they can defend keeps now.
They can easily backdoor this. With the Tyrael with Sanctification, even the explosion alone already taking 6% off, and you have a Void Prison. If at any point SPT loses vision of the bot lane, Tempest can move in and end the game.
Yeah. SPT has to maintain vision control all game long. They have to deal with those catapults. That's why Malthael is bot currently. They can't even get close to a keep. All they can do is kind of steal a camp right now. That's the only thing they're able to capitalize on their survival with. Obviously, it sounds like doom and gloom for SPT. The upside is they didn't lose the game, so they still have a shot. 20 around the corner for Tempest. They're going to try to even up that deficit, minimize the time Tempest has 20 before them by grabbing this wall.
They're aggressive at the top now, and they have domination for Diablo, so maybe they can get one of these picks if someone is out of position, and that's why they're so aggressive at the top. They want to make these plays before level 20 is there. But Misaka again is so far out, uses a minion to escape, but he's still not able to get away. He has Sign, just chases him down and drops him. Soap with the Tormented Soul, a little bit late, trying to go in the middle of 5. That's not happening. Diablo is back and pops the Apocalypse, but that's just not going to be enough.
Yeah, this is definitely game over. The catapults are starting to get close to the core. This was SPT's Hail Mary, kind of last chance opportunity to take a team fight before 20. It was just not executed properly. Sanctification was always available. They also had to deal with the Water Elemental, which has been fantastic for Tempest all game long at not only zoning, but also checking vision. And sure, the Shrine is coming up, but Tempest is just going to walk down the red carpet to victory here. Misaka might die again this game as he comes through. He's got the cleanse. Down he goes, no souls after using the souls to revive. ZZH going to be the last one to die this game, and Tempest is just going to finish the core.
25 to 10 in kills, 35 kills in a 17-minute game, equaling 2 kills per minute here. Absolutely crazy slaughter once again, and Tempest victorious, taking the 2-0 lead over SPT here in the lower bracket.
It was a pretty dominant performance, honestly.